guys, it's Kay here, founder of Carry Awesome Hair, and this is the Luxury Hair Extension University where we master the craft, build the business, and elevate the standard. So, class is in session. If you are charging your clients $3,500 for K-tips, you did not actually make $3,500. And if you don't know how much you made, we need to talk. Stylists are constantly asking me like, so how much do you charge for K-tips? Or what do I charge per gram, per 50 grams, right? I'm even getting like, what are other stylists charging in your city? Should I be pricing my prices based on what I see someone else charging or what I feel like someone else will pay? I'm talking about all type of things that have nothing to do with you that you're considering when pricing your service. Like, it blows my mind how irrelevant all of those questions are to you and your business. So I can tell you what I charge, but it may not work for your business. Two stylists could be performing the exact same service, right? But they have to price them completely differently based on their business. Their expenses, their hair costs, their overhead. One may have an assistant, one may not. One may be in a more expensive area, one may not. That all is gonna have to do with them. And they need to price their K-tip service accordingly. So you're gonna have to stop asking me or other stylists, what should you charge, and start looking at the numbers. So after everybody is paid, okay, including yourself, what is left for the business is the number we need to be discussing. Even this is an issue, right? So we get the hair from the vendor. We think we paid $500. And then some stylists are just like upcharging super randomly, like adding on an extra $100 to what they paid or extra $200. No logic behind the upsell, right? Retail cost of hair. Marking up your hair costs and actually having a healthy profit margin are not the same. Now let's talk about your time, because your time has a price on it too. And this is where a lot of stylists are really undercharging. Like, your time is so valuable. You know where we could be? You know how many places I could be? I'm talking, you have consultation time, especially if you're doing like virtual consultations, preparing your bonds, installation, cutting, coloring, the time in between while the color is even being processed. I mean, time is money, baby, and we are undercharging for our time, and that makes me so sad. Like, it really bothers me how much stylists are allowing their time to be undervalued. It's crazy. It's just literally crazy to me. And then ask yourself this: what is the time worth? All the hours when you're not with the client. Yeah, you weren't ready for that, because I need to be compensated for the hours that I'm not at the salon, that I'm actually spending working on my business, building my brand. I'm getting marketing content. I'm working with models to curate a luxury visual for the clients to come in, the marketing, right? My marketing hat. Okay, what are you charging per hour for those hours when you're not behind the chair? Say a random number as far as like your behind the chair hours. Say you say I need to be making at least $200 an hour behind the chair, and you've been there for 6 hours, and the service that you're offering right now generated $500 in revenue. You are so behind what you just said you needed, which means you could be servicing a more high-end luxury client to produce that income than the current clients that you're offering. That's when I know the math isn't mathing. When you say one thing and you do another thing is when you know it's time for a shift. The client has to pay your rent. The client has to pay your utilities. The client has to pay for your expenses. Who's paying this rent? The thing that I learned very quickly is that my bills don't go away just because I forgot to include them in my pricing. They will pop up every time. During your initial thought process, when you are deciding what you're gonna charge for your installations, you need to also include in that thought process the life cycle of that client, right? So let's just use the $3,500 client, for example. Initially, you're charging her $3,500. While we do know that you're not profiting the whole $3,500, it's hefty, it's enough. We can work with that, right? But then I have to consider too, even when I come up with that number, she's gonna come back, right? And she's gonna be using my time for a lesser service. And I have to come outside to do her maintenance, which will cost anywhere between, say, $450 and $550, right? Just to throw out a number. And that cost is so substantially lower than her original cost, which is why I honestly had to bill her then for the time that I'm spending doing her maintenance appointment now. I want you to build your profitability into your initial price point. I don't want you to say, oh, well, whatever's left over is what I profit. That is crazy, because you need that money. You need that profit for the business to grow, for emergencies, new equipment, maybe a new hire, for education or expansion, for marketing, even slow seasons. You need that profit to ultimately give you freedom behind the chair. If your business only pays you enough to be behind the chair, you're not making enough. You need to be making enough money to be able to rest. That basically just means you don't have a profitable business, you have a job, right? Like, you have a job. And when you go to work, you make money. And when you don't go to work, you need to be going to work. So if you're offering this service at $3,500 and the client says, oh, well, I only have $2,000, a lot of stylists are taking the $2,000 because they'd rather have the $2,000 than nothing at all, when you really need to be changing the outcome. So if a client says to me, I don't have $3,500, I'm gonna change the service completely to something that is more feasible to her price point. So I'm talking totally different service. We may end up doing a hybrid. I'm talking about maybe a different length. She might have one at 22. I'm like, we could do 16 or we could do 18, something like that. I'm gonna change the grams. I'm gonna change maybe her color. I'm going to try to curate something specifically to fit her budget and fit the needs of the business. Do not provide the same $3,500 service for like $2,000 just because you have fear of losing the client. So you can say something like, we can adjust the service to fit your needs, but unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to offer you that service. Simple. I'm sure she's gonna take it because you're gonna offer her a solution and a transformation, just not that one. I never want you to apologize for calculating this the right way, because this is something that stylists haven't been doing for years. Now it's time to really start pricing with strategy and not fear-based pricing. To help you out, I want to give you a very simple pricing framework, okay? Let's talk about the true cost of the service. Service and labor, overhead, business expenses, profits, and that's going to equal the price. Your final cost should make sense on paper before it ever makes sense to the client. Luxury pricing is not about who's charging more. It's literally about who is charging correctly. For more tips on mastering your craft and growing your luxury extension business, click the link below to join me inside Luxury Hair Extensions University. Class is dismissed.